welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be making an illustration inspired by Halloween. And I am going to be challenging myself to work with a lot of tone instead of colour. So let's get into the video. My initial inspiration for this video was the video I made back ages ago, which was colour theory. And then a couple of weeks ago I made another video on colour. But my first video, it was more based on tone than colour. But anyway. I don't know. But basically I was like, you know what? It's Inktober, but I don't want to take part in Inktober. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video using mostly black and grey, and then add like one bit of colour, like a tiny little colour in there, probably orange, because it's Halloween. And then I was like, so what can I do for this? Well, it's Halloweeny enough, but it's like not too Halloween. I don't want it to be incredibly Halloweeny, because the entire idea is very Halloween based, and it is like a tad bit early, but I'm not gonna actually be, but I might try, we'll see, I might try and post some Halloween, but I'll see how much time I have. But for now, if things go to the plan of what I'm doing at the moment, I will not be posting on Halloween, meaning that my Halloween video is either going to be incredibly early or incredibly late. So, for now, incredibly early. But yeah, I thought, you know what? Rachel Makesy has been making Halloween videos and autumn themed videos since July, and Bernadette Banner has been doing them since the beginning of October, and a lot of people have been posting about Halloween, and I've been talking to my friends about Halloween for ages. So I'm gonna make a Halloween themed video. I don't care. I don't even celebrate Halloween anymore, but I still think it looks kind of cool. So my idea was a bat flying away with a pumpkin. Kind of put the moon in the background, and that was it. And normally for the sketch, you'll see me and I'm colouring in my pink pencil. I know, so exciting and very important. But because I wanted everything to be black and grey, as I've said before, like the colour of the pencil kind of interferes with the watercolour, because watercolour is not completely opaque. So, and also because I normally do the pink with watercolour pencils, the pink kind of blends into the colours. So I don't want my blacks to be kind of tinted with pink. So I decided to do it in normal pencil, like a normal person. I know, it's amazing. Sorry, I am being really weird today. I woke up in a strange mood, and I haven't really been feeling up to it today, but I decided I'm still going to battle on and finish this video. So I do maybe have like a little bit of a time next week to maybe film a video for the actual Halloween week, because these videos have to be planned like a lot in advance. But anyway, back to the topic. I started off kind of like sketching out my bat. I have never drawn a bat before, so this was like a realistic bat before, so this was kind of a change. I kept looking at the face and thinking it looks like a bat of the photo looked like a bat. I kept looking at my face and thinking it looked a bit like a pig, and I don't know what was causing this, so I just went with it and I just hoped that it didn't look like a pig at the end. I stuck in a little moon in the background as an afterthought, and I shaded in the back wing, which was not maybe the best decision I ever had, but it didn't really interfere with anything in the end, so it was fine. I wasn't quite sure what the body looked like. I couldn't get a photo of the bat the exact position I wanted it to be in. So I didn't have a perfect reference photo. I had one from the front and I had some from the side, but none of them were the exact one I wanted. So I'm gonna try to mash them all together. So the body looks a little bit strange in my drawing, but we deal with it because I can't do anything else now. And for background, I went for like a light grey because I wanted the bat to be black, like deep black. But because there's also the moon and it needs to be like different colours, and I wanted everything to be like a different tone because otherwise everything would blend together. So obviously the moon is the lightest, and then the rest of the sky is like a mid-tone, and then obviously the bat is going to be really dark. And if you were wondering what the pop of colour is going to be, it is going to be the bat tongue and the pumpkin, because the bat tongue is tiny and I felt like I wanted like a tiny bit more colour in there. Now I feel like I sound like Lena Norms. So I made the pumpkin orange because I feel like a pumpkin would not look quite right in grey. So yeah, that was my decision. For the skies, I tried to make it look kind of textury, like have that kind of like cloudy texture, but also like be completely grey. I didn't use much white in this video, in this illustration, it was mostly grey. And then when I had given the sky the required texture, I started to go in to the bat with my semi-darkest black, because obviously the back wing there needs to be darkest black in the drawing so it looks shaded, so the rest of the bat has to be semi-dark. Like it needs to be black, but like not the darkest black, because it can't be grey, because it's grey. Sorry, I am rambling too much. But yeah, I was trying to make sure that the paint was as flat as possible with no so it's not streaky or anything. And also so there's like a little bit of a contrast between the sky and the bat as well, because that was important because there wasn't quite enough contrast there. And I didn't do much shading for most of the bat. The bat is pretty flat except for the back wing. The pumpkin's a tiny bit shaded later, but I was a little bit too focused on trying to keep everything separate. Because normally when I'm working on a drawing, what I do to separate a lot of things is I slightly change the hue of the colour. So like if I'm working with a blue, I'll add like a tiny bit of red, so it's a little bit more of a purpley blue. Or if I'm working with like green, I'll like maybe darken the green a tiny bit, but also like make it like more bluish. Or like if I'm working with blue again, like I'll lighten the blue or darken the blue as well as like change the hue, but I will mostly change the hue. But obviously, if I'm working with black, you can't change the hue of the black, or you can, but like it's not much space to change things. Like you can make it like a slightly warmer black or a slightly colder black. Well, not black, but slightly warmer, colder grey. But mostly, you're working with a very limited amount of hue. You're mostly working with shades, which is like how light or dark a thing is. So instead of like slightly changing the hue of let's say the moon or the bat, I had to instead slightly change the shade of what I was working with. Which then when you're adding in shading would get everything really complicated, because like the shading has to be a different shade from everything else in the drawing, but also be slightly darker than the object you're shading. So even though I'm doing a very simple illustration, also shading does make it a tiny bit more complicated to work on, which is a long way of saying that my brain power when I was doing this was not enough to actually work with shading, so I never added in shading. Though there is a tiny bit of shading, and I am again rambling, so I will stop rambling. I did actually change the hue of the moon a tiny bit. I made it like slightly reddish, like a tiny bit, so it's like a little bit warmer grey. And obviously the pumpkin is orange. But the thing is with my pumpkin, it is not bright orange because that I felt like that would be a bit too much contrast with the rest of the drawing. It would kind of stray too much from my original idea. So it's kind of like a grey brown orange instead. Just because I wanted it to work with the rest of the drawing while also being like a tiny bit more contrasty. I ended up like trying to mess around with the hue a tiny bit as well, so I did stray a tiny bit from my challenge, but I think I did pretty good considering this is the second time I have, well, not really the second time. I did do last October I did 4 paintings in black and grey, and I didn't use hue at all. I kept strictly black and white, black and grey. But I was doing very simple things where I could just separate the colours. There was not any backgrounds to them. They were all just kind of like they were quite cool paintings. Like I still quite like them, but there wasn't much background to what I was doing. There was just kind of like a main focus feature, and the background was kind of mostly white. While here, it's a simpler, like technical wise, there's also like a background to it. So I did play a tiny bit around with color, like hues and stuff. But I did mostly sort of keep to what I was doing. I did work with a lot of shade, and I did keep it to mainly one bright pop of colour. But the colour isn't very bright, as I mentioned already, because I felt like it would stick out a bit too much. Like I'm not sure. Maybe the contrast would have been nice. Like maybe your opinion is that a really bright orange pumpkin would have looked better. But in that moment, what I was thinking was that the most important thing here is the shade of that pumpkin instead of the hue of that pumpkin. So it is not that different from the sky around it, but it is a bit darker. Also, I'm not sure if you noticed, I'm not sure if it's that obvious, but I was using different lighting today. I was using kind of like quite a nice warm light. So everything here will look a tiny bit warmer than it does in real life. I will just edit in a little clip of how it looks like normally. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next week. So, goodbye.